don't specialize in and teach. So a lot about the history of yoga, some of the classical yoga origins. So the yamas and the yamas, the 8 limbs of yoga. And then I'll do a session where I relate it to our methodology. So how all that got modernized to the language that we use. If you're interested, when it comes out, we'll have an early bird special that'll last for a short period of time, but it's not until September. So when I get back from Morocco, where I'm leaving for tomorrow, we'll work on that. So watch for that. I know a lot of you will enjoy what we'll be learning in that session. I'll enjoy it too. So I wanted you to know that that's coming up. All right, let's just get started with our yoga today. Toes together, knees open, arms forward, and your forehead down to your mat. This is the best way to spend a Friday afternoon, just making your gears shift from whatever your week was into whatever you want to create for yourself for the weekend. So right now, just observation of your breathing. Just see what you came in with. And what you came in with is exactly perfect, but from there, we'll create what we want it to be. So start to lengthen out your breath. Lengthen out your inhales and your exhales. Hi, Erin. Put some space between your inhale and your exhale, so a pause. It's not something that's in the natural everyday breathing, but it's in our ujjayi breath for our practice. And then begin to bring the heat to breath. So the ujjayi breath that generates at the back of the throat. Sometimes it's easiest to tap into that if you're unfamiliar with it by taking a deep breath in, opening your mouth wide and breathing out. That misty sounding sensation of breath, that's a hallmark of the ujjayi breath. So start to create and use ujjayi breath that you hear and feel from yourself and listen for it from the people around you. It won't be the breath you came into the room with. And it'll take something to have this breath be your continuous partner through the practice. Then we'll start to build where we match movement to breathing. So keep your ujjayi breath flowing, and on your next inhale, bring your body up into downward facing dog. Keep your breath flowing. Start to move around and feel what it feels like inside of your skin right now. With your breath flowing, set your gaze or your drishti at the back center of your mat. And so it's not like staring, it's nothing to force, it's just a soft gaze, a place where you're resting your attention, and then just observing from there, seeing what you see. Let's work our breath and movement together. On your next inhale, tippy toe. On the exhale, stay tippy-toed, but bend your knees down and hover them above your mat. Then inhale, lift your hips up high, and exhale, press your heels toward the mat. Let's do that again. Inhale, tippy toe. Exhale, bend your knees to hover. Inhale, tippy toe. Exhale, press your heels down. 2 more times. Inhale, tippy toe. Exhale, bend your knees and hover. Inhale, tippy toe. Exhale, press your heels down. 1 more time. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bend your knees and hover. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, press your heels down. Look forward. Step up to the front of your mat. Inhale, lift up halfway. And exhale, hang. Keep your breath flowing. Set your gaze on one point. Open your feet wide. Get a really sturdy foundation. Keep your breath. Keep the drishti. And add foundation. Steady breathing. Press your feet, all 4 corners, down into the mat. And appreciate and feel your arches lifting and the pit of your belly lifting while you hang here and breathe. Purposefully start letting go of the weight of your head, letting go of the weight of your arms, and anchoring into your feet. Now take 1 more breath in. As you exhale, press your feet down into the ground and come rolling up to standing 1 bone at a time until you can sweep your arms overhead, look up, lift up, and then hands into prayer position and pause. Set your gaze on one still point in the room. Set an intention for your practice. So we usually phrase them as an I am statement, and then you pick something that's maybe a little challenging or maybe something that seems out of reach. I am present, I am purposeful, I am curious. We're going to use the intention a little differently today. So different from I am, keep the word, curious, whatever it is, and instead the mantra we'll use in our head is, what if? What if I'm curious while we practice? 3 times, let's chant Om together. Take a deep breath in. Inhale, reach up. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift up halfway, high to low plank as you're exhaling and steady. Then inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, and breathe. Set your gaze. Bring your mantra to the top of your thinking and phrase it. What if I'm curious? One more breath in. Once you exhale, bend your knees and look forward. Step or jump up to your hands. Halfway lift and fold. Press your feet down. Stand up, look up and reach. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift up halfway. Low plank on the exhale, empty. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog, and 3 breaths. So the mantra that we're using, what if, whatever your intention is, we're using that to shape the practice. One more breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Stand up and inhale. Look up and reach. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Low plank on your exhale. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, and breathe. So while you start moving around your hands and feet on these breaths and setting up this downward dog, bring your intention front of mind and shape the pose based on that. What if I'm strong? One more time, breathe in. On the exhale, bend your knees and look, then jump to your hands. Halfway lift and fold. Chair pose is next. Sit back and reach your arms up. Stay right here and breathe. Sit into your heels, way back into your hips, breathing. Bring your intention to mind. Take 2 more breaths and shape the pose around the intention. What if I was present? One more breath, then fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank. You can drop right into it. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward and lunge for warrior 1, and we'll hold this pose. Set your gaze and your breathing. Work with your feet. Presence your what if intention and work with your pose. You have 3 more breaths. Work with your pose, what if intention present. On your last breath, reach, then hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Step your left foot forward and lunge. Arms overhead, set your gaze, ujjayi breathing. Attention at your feet. Bring your intention to mind. 3 breaths and shape up the pose. What if you were present? What would you feel in your body and how would the pose be? Take your last breath, then hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. Discover the pose as though you've never been in it before, and the intention is what directs you. One more time, breathe in. On your exhale, bend your knees, jump to your hands. Halfway lift and fold. Last round. Chair pose, sit back, reach up, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, drop to your low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Right foot forward and lunge. Just 1 breath. Inhale, look up and reach. Hands to the floor, chaturanga, and empty. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left side step. Take a deep lunge and reach. Hands to the floor, chaturanga, and empty. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take one deep breath in, open your mouth, and sigh. Raise your right leg into the air, bend your knee and open your hips, then flip the pose over. Keep your breath flowing. Keep your breath flowing as you set your drishti and organize your foundation. Presence your intention. 3 breaths. What if I was curious? 2 more. You've got 1 more. Side plank. Put your right hand on the mat, face the long left side of the mat, stack your body up. You have so many variations here. Don't pick it from what you think you need to do. Pick it from your intention. Take 3 more breaths with this pose. 2 more. Intention 1 more time. Last breath. High plank to low. Upward facing dog. Just open up. Downward facing dog. Left leg in the air. Keep your breath flowing. Bend your knee and flip the pose over. Steady breathing. Set your gaze. Steady breathing. Set your foundation, your hands, feet, and core. Presence your intention. 3 more breaths. Keep your intention present. Each breath, each movement in the pose. Finish your last breath and then flip over for side plank. Left hand down, face the long right side of your mat. Stack your body up. Turn up the volume of your listening, not to me, not just to the room, but to what's going on inside of your body. Work with whatever you've discovered and take 3 more breaths. You got it, Suzanne. Reach, look. 1 more breath. High plank to low. Upward facing dog open. Downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward for crescent lunge. Arms overhead and set your gaze. Then settle into your skin and feel what you feel in your body and breathe. Bring your intention front of mind, and from there start creating your pose with a deeper lunge, a greater stretch, an opening into a back bend. Maybe your intention is, what if I was freedom? 3 more breaths here. Deep, deep lunge. Take yourself to the edge in the last breath, then hands to prayer and twist. Bring your left elbow to your right knee, get anchored and breathe. Set up a strong foundation from your core. Follow the lead of your body. Open the pose up to whatever it should be for you right now. Go to the physical edge of your pose. Then 3 more breaths here. Just be in the expression of it. You have 2 more breaths. Complete the whole last breath, and when you're finished, inhale, come to crescent lunge. Open to warrior 2. Once you get here, when you check into your foundation, it's hands, feet, and core, but it's also the room. What's happening around you, what's happening on your mat, and then what's possible. Stretch your arms out wide and tilt, extended side angle. Now check yourself out. If there's any part of your body that's not engaged in the pose right now, put your attention on your breath. Express to the edges, 3 fingertips and toes. Deep, deep pose. Now just be in it for 3 breaths. Just live inside your skin, inside your body, inside the pose. You've got 1 more breath. Take the whole thing, and when you're finished, hands to the floor for chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left foot forward for crescent lunge. Set it up, set your gaze, and breathe. Sometimes we just put our body in the shapes and we're just like checking it off of our yoga to-do list, but instead get fully vibrant in the moment in the pose. Out to every fingertip, into every toe, to the edge of the pose for you physically, and then just breathe there. That's it. Just breathe right in the space. Let your chest lift and open. Take 1 more breath here. Then hands to prayer position and twist. Bring your right elbow to your left knee. And come into the experience. Discover any part of your body that's just like offline right now. Bring it in not as like a part that's necessarily focused and working, but it's alive in the space, whatever that means to you. And then take 3 more breaths. Right here at the edge of the pose. You've got 1 more. Stay for the whole exhale. Then inhale to the crescent lunge. Open to warrior 2. Breathe here. Steady attention, steady breathing. Deep into your feet, into your legs, into your belly. Bring your intention present, stretch your arms, and then tilt to extended side angle. Build the pose. So that's really the essence of our practice, is creating a shape, presencing an intention, and letting the intention bring the edge to the pose, bring the shape to the end of the pose. It's just 2 more breaths now. Deep, deep lunge for the last breath. Then hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take 1 deep breath in and then a sigh. Look forward and move up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair twist, sit back, hands to prayer, twist to the right. Bring your left elbow to your right knee and sit really deep into your hips. Now fill the pose, fuel it with breath. See what you see. Maybe you're inclined to be here and that's what's really expressive in your body today, that you're getting a lot of feedback, or you're drawn to go deeper or further. See what's available for you and go there. All the way up to whatever your edge is in the pose today. Get there. Now take 3 breaths here. Finish your last breath, and then on your next inhale, go to chair pose and fold. Open your feet hip width distance. Hook your big toe. Inhale, lift up, stretch halfway, and fold down. Shake out your head. Let everything go from your hips, through your waist, through your ribs, through your neck, through your ears to the crown of your head. Maybe a sigh would help for that to happen. And then shift the weight around and let yourself go again, even deeper into the pose. Here, presence your intention and see what you see. Crow pose first set. Set it up. You can do it seated. You can do it hands down. Knowing that you're going to get 2 sets, you have a chance to build something. Keep your breath flowing through whatever it is you're building. All the way into the edge of your pose. Let's do 3 breaths here. Really strong. Every exhale, press the floor, lift your core. 2 more. From wherever you are, chaturanga. And you just lift your chest. Yep. You can just do it right down into it. Upward dog to downward facing dog. Take a sigh here. When you're finished, look forward and jump up to your hands. Halfway lift, fold, chair twist to the left. So sit back, hands to prayer, right elbow to your left knee, or the other way if you want the other way last time. So you need to breathe. If you can't breathe, then the body shape isn't quite right for you right now. Then you want to listen once the body shape's good and your breath is flowing. Is there somewhere deeper for you, a little more expressive, a little more ease? Follow the lead of your body and go there. All the way to the edge of the pose for you. 3 more breaths here. Where can you have expansion and expression? What is your intention? Take 1 more breath. Finish the whole thing. Then chair pose and forward fold. Wide feet, gorilla pose, tuck your hands. Shake your head out, maybe take a sigh. Build a pose that feels nourishing right now. While you're in the pose, presence your intention. What if I were curious? What if I was strong? What if I was good at this? What if everything in my whole life was working right now? How would this moment be? Second set, crow pose. There are so many variations. You can do it seated, do it hands down, take a pendant pose, a headstand, a handstand, and you go to the front of your mat so you have room to drop into your chaturanga. All you have to do is lift your head when you get there. Take yourself to your pose. Get ready, 5 breaths. So a couple of you are in headstands. Know from here when you get to the 5th, all you need is a strong belly. Maybe you bring your elbows in at first as you're learning it, and then you just lift your chest. Beautiful, Brickell. Stay with it. At your 5th breath, go to the chaturanga. Bring it down one leg at a time. It's less scary to learn. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. It was good. In your downward dog, just take a breath, have a sigh, and move up to the front of your mat. When you get there, halfway lift and fold. Move by breath. Press your feet down and come rolling up. Sweep your arms and set your gaze. Right side eagle pose. Move with the rhythm of your breathing. So this next series of poses called the equanimity section, you want to keep your gaze set and purposeful and your breath steady. Consider it as a whole section, not a bunch of individual poses with breaks in between. On your next inhale, step out and stretch. On the next exhale, left side. Steady breathing the whole time. While your body is up and your heart is working, but yet you're asking it to hold still with this funny shape, can you keep your attention and your breath steady? Next inhale, step out, right side second set. Right arm under, right leg over. Steady breath. Let yourself not only be an individual, but part of a whole as you're breathing. That would happen by hearing other people breathing, sharing your breathing. Next inhale, step out, left arm under, left leg over. And then all of this just to see what you see. Not to do it a right way. There's not a right way. It's just a way we're doing it today. Steady breathing and see what you see. Step out. Hug your right knee into your chest and stand tall. Maybe hold your foot or knee with your opposite hand. Turn, look, and reach to the back of the room. Could be knee or foot. Dancing Shiva. Keep your breath flowing. Take yourself into the pose. If you fall out, come back into it. If you didn't fall out and somebody near you did, you hold the steadiness. 3 breaths. Stand tall. You got 1 more breath. Hug your knee into your chest. Open up. Get ready for the stretch. Airplane pose. Whole body stretching and expanding. How much you tilt doesn't matter as much as that your whole body's opening up. Steady breathing. Hands to prayer. Press them. Get steady. Half moon. Left arm down. Right arm up. You might want to take sugarcane pose. If you'd like that, then bend your top knee and catch your top ankle. Keep your breath flowing. Fullest expression. Stay here for 3 more breaths. Fullest expression. What if I were present? You got 1 more breath. Stay for the whole thing, then forward folded hang. Give yourself some swaying side to side. Get settled back into your legs and into your feet. Then press down, come rolling up, and set your gaze. Hug your left knee. Hold your knee with your right hand or your foot. Open up and reach to the back of the room. Holding your knee or foot. So you'll twist into your leg. It's a closed twist. You got it. At first, things might be a little tight when you get into this. Use your breathing to just soften and shape yourself around the pose. Use your intention, phrased as what if, to explore and discover new things in the pose. New spaces, new pathways. 1 more breath. Come forward, hug your knee, stand tall, then open up, fullest expression, full stretch, and then dip down into the pose. Can you feel how already you're warming up the wheel pose that you know is coming up? Just by stretching your arms, you're getting the corners of your chest to stretch, your shoulders set onto your back. What if this pose was the beginning of something bigger? Press your palms together. Half moon. Reach for the floor, reach for the ceiling. Keep your breath flowing the whole way through the transition. Even if you fall out, keep your breath flowing through that part of it all. And then be a part of the space, a part of the room. Breathe so Jane at home feels you. Others at home sense you. And then include and sense Jane here in the space. Keep breathing. Let yourself be timeless in the space. Take one more. Forward fold and hang. Let yourself get settled. Just let your energy be down, your feet be down, your head be down. And then press your feet into the mat, roll up and sweep your arms overhead. Set your gaze, right side, standing bow, catch your ankle. Take your grip a little lower than you usually do. If you grab your toe, go to your foot. If you grab your foot, go to your ankle. If you hold your ankle, go to your shin. Then stretch up and down, stretch forward and back, and then again up and down. So get your long forward and back stretch. And once you get that, explore what else is here. One of the visualizations that helps me the most in the pose is to imagine I'm inside of a bubble and I'm pressing out to the edges of it. Keep breathing. Take a sigh mid-pose if that helps you. Now get to the edge physically of the pose for you. Right to the edge. If you fall out, get back in it. Right to the edge. 5 more breaths here. Stay. 5. You can do it. You can do it. Have your moment and let it go. Stay with it. This is what's going to change your practice. All right, step out. Put your feet on the floor and your hands on your hips. In my family, we're friends with a person who was once a professional basketball player at a very high level. And he'd play whole games and then go to the gym and work out for 2 hours. So that was your 2-hour workout in the gym. You only have 5 breaths. Let's do the other side. Left side, take your left ankle. Now take a challenging grip. Don't take the always, yes, get down your shin there. And then go, see what you can see. You've learned so many things in the different classes you've taken from the incredible teachers here. Put in whatever is showing up for you right now. Just work with it, feel it in your body and discover it. And then start working yourself to the physical edge of the pose for you today. That'll be the pose that you have to really work to hold. That you're going to have to balance the effort in the front and the back and the top and the bottom of your body, or it'll be out of balance and you'll lose your balance. And go right to the physical edge. You got it. Reach for it. You got it. Even if you fall out, hold steady. If you're at the edge, we're ready then. 5 breaths here. Stay, Ray. 5 more breaths. Stay with it. Stay with it. Just let this last one just be easy. Step out, put your feet on the floor, eyes on one spot, and just feel what you're feeling in your body. Don't escape the moment. Be right in it and feel it. Just feel what you feel. What's showing up? Even if bad things are showing up in your brain, like that was the wrong way to do that, let that go too. We're going to do one more set. We won't hold it as long. So go for each side. You have 5 breaths in each side. Set it up, and as soon as you feel like you're in it, take 5 breaths. Go on your own. Both sides one more time. So take a breath or 2 to get to the edge, and then take 5 breaths in the pose. I think sometimes we mistake getting in the pose for being in the pose. Yep, this is what you came for, to feel the experience of the pose. And then have an as-lived experience of it. Take a breather between if that's what works for you. And then when you're ready, take the second side. And when you're finished your second side, just feet on the floor, nice and steady, eyes on one point. People will be finishing at different times. You can just stand and be settled for a moment while others finish. Good, Abby. That last breath, let the whole thing be just easy. When you're finished, take your resting, grounding pose, whatever it is in your body. You know that was a good one if you're here with your hands on your thighs. As long as that's not your back hurting and you're just like catching your breath, you know it was a good one. Tree pose, left foot down, right foot up, hands, just press them together. When the pose is huge in the back bend, if you just press, it'll get you settled and grounded again energetically. Of course, you're always welcome to take any variation you feel called in your body to do. But sometimes it can just be so settling to press your palms together. And then the actions of pressing palms, or at the end where we squeeze palms, those 2 things are linked to something in your body and in your energetic experience. And you can use those at any point in life when things get a little bit up in the energy. You can always become grounded just by pressing your hands like this again. Switch sides. Consider you're getting a workout, but what you're doing is practicing some life skills that help you handle the waves of life in a more chosen way. It's like superpower. Don't you just love listening to the breath? One more. Step to the front of your mat. We'll start again. Inhale and sweep your arms overhead. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift up halfway. Drop to the low plank. Upward facing dog, open. Downward facing dog, step your right foot forward. Place it. Open your arm, triangle. Breathe. Steady, steady breathing. Stay right in the practice. Now that you're in the pose, see what there is to see about it. Maybe a bigger stance, a little more belly. Get the stretch in your standing inner thigh. Get the stretch over the crest of your back hip. Get the stability of your core here that lets you open up and have the expression of the back bend. Take yourself to the edge. 3 more breaths. Presence your intention. 2 more. Press. Last one. Come on up to standing. Turn and face the long left side of your mat. Feet parallel to the short sides. Lift up high. Forward fold. Come all the way down in your forward fold. Walk your hands as far as they'll go behind you. At first, palms facing down. This might be a great spot for a lot of people to stay and just hold the pose here. Some of you might want to try to put your head on the ground. You could hold that. Some of you are going to feel very confident here and from here. Now, straight arms is a big challenge. You could do the bent arms for the tripod at first to just get it from this position, or ultimately, the opportunity is to maybe tippy toe and feel this, or press up into the headstand with the straight arms and the palms down. You wanting to go super crazy? Do it palms face up. You got 5 more breaths. You got it, Briquel. Roll over your toes. Point. Got to get a little more hips over your shoulders. Stay. Now, straddle, press down. Come on up to standing. Turn and face the front of your mat. Split or standing single leg forward fold. If you're doing the standing single leg, maybe interlace your hands and then do a fold here. Or take the split, and if you're doing the split, you could still work with the interlaced hands. So whatever level of split you're in, as long as you don't need the hands for support, you could take your hands behind your back, interlace them, and press down. Open your chest. That's it. Now, if you're doing it with the split, a nice variation could be, if they reach that far, that your interlaced hands are pressing against your inner back thigh. That's it, Debbie. Yeah, just for a little pressure there. And then you're doing this. You got it. Twisting triangle, left arm down. In the split, you can go from the pointing to the flexing to the pointing to the flexing as you just hold your bound arms behind you. And then wherever you are, pull the right hip back. 3 more breaths. Open your chest. Sink your ribs in, your belly in, and open. Then hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Just take a breath in your down dog, and then we begin the other side. Step your left foot forward and open into the triangle. Take away all the extra activities. Foot on the ground, open up. Breathe. For a lot of you, something new in the pose would be to expand the foundation. It gives you more freedom, less stability. Triangle first. Maybe a little longer. If that's a new foundation, try it a little longer. More pit of the belly in Briquel so that your pelvis becomes less anterior, more neutral. Press the big toe down into the mat. That's it. 2 more breaths. Last breath, full expression. Come on up to standing. Turn and face the long left side of your mat. Hands to your hips, lift up high. Forward fold. Tons of choices here as well. If this gold box were my mat, I could put my hands just on my mat and come off of my mat with my feet. Then what I have the opportunity to do is work on the glide into my press handstand. Everyone can do this. Maybe what you're doing is just rolling up onto the tops of your toes and into your fingertips. That might be the work that you're doing here, articulating through your feet. You may add to that, roll through your toes and slide them across the mat and come into your fingertips. That's why your hands will be on this back edge of your mat. So your feet are on the floor and they can slide. So hands not on the far edge of your mat, but on the close edge of your mat. So your feet are off of your mat. Bring your hands toward the other side of your mat, Ange. Yes. And then once your hands are on this edge of your mat, the way you can see Angie's are, feet are on the floor and they have room to slide. She can roll off of her toes and slide them in beside her hands. I know it's tricky. So Judy and Harold, bring your hands to the back of your mat and your feet off of your mat. That's all right. So you might just be working on rolling up into the tippy toe. Yes. And so when you come in here onto your tippy toes, you'll slide, not the jump. So you want to just come onto this part of your toe and drag it in. Try that. Yep. Yeah. Even like more onto your tippy top. You'll articulate and slide like that. It's very weird. See what you got going here, Ray. Wide straddles. Yeah. It's even weird to just get onto the top of your toe. So no hop there. It's in the end. Yes, for Cal. All right. Enough of that. Come on up out of that. Splits or standing single leg forward fold. Did you get what we're doing? So some of you, you're working on just the roll. Some of you, you're working on the roll and slide. And after that, you'll press out and then up. Just like that one day. Get back to your breathing. Jane, are you still practicing at home? They're getting a little carried away in here. Good. So if you've got your bound hands, maybe you're able to reach. Yep, and they're just giving some pressure on the inside of your back thigh where you can lift the pit of your belly even more. Standing up, take your twisting triangle, and in your split, maybe you're working with pointing and flexing. And it's the same foot activity we would have used just those in those press handstands. That's it, Susan. Pit of the belly in, off of your thigh. Yep, you got it. Good, Sarah. Nice, Damien. Lift that leg and make it active like it's standing on the back wall. One more breath in. Open up on the exhale. Good. Hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Come to your high plank and lower down to your belly on the mat. All the way down to your belly. Arms around behind you. Crescent lunge or chaturanga, legs and feet. So your legs are engaged in the back bend. Press your heels back and lift your chest forward and up. So you get this sense of from your heels to the center of your chest, you're connected like a string that's just pulling apart. Heels back behind you, chest forward. Now while you're in the pose and breathing with your string pulled tight from your heels to your chest, engage the pit of your belly. Just pull it into your body. You won't have to lift higher, but you'll lift leaner. Okay, come on down. You can shake your hips from side to side. We'll give ourselves our handstand prep as well. So now you can point your toes to the tops of your feet and your toenails are pressing into the mat, but your legs active. Arms forward. Maybe you'll even flex your wrist. Lengthen the back of your neck and put your forehead on the floor. Take a deep breath in. Blow all the air out and pull the pit of your belly into your body. And then press hands forward, toes back. You'll be able to slide a hand under your belly on the floor as your abdominal muscles pull in. Breathe there, 5 breaths. Pit of the belly in. Feel how your pelvis is. This is your handstand pelvis. Keep breathing. Do you feel how your tailbone's reaching back with your heels? Take one more breath. Come on down. Shake your hips from side to side. Bend your knees and reach back and hold your ankles for floor bow. You can let your shoulders just roll back. Knees just hip width distance though. It's tempting to let them get wide. Keep them hip width distance. Kick back and then kick up. Breathe. You might even rock a little bit back and forth, forward and back, chin to knees. You'll just feel the massaging across your abdominal area. Come on down. You can wave your feet from side to side. We'll do a second set. Reach back, same hand grip from the outside, or try doing the same hand grip you do in the standing bow, palms face out. Set it up, or do the second side if you're doing one-sided, and kick back and go up. Let your arms go on your shoulders. It's not that your arm bone is rolled open per se, but it's that your arm bone is moved to the back of your shoulder socket. Kick back and breathe. Take yourself all the way to the edge of the pose. Come on down, feet side to side. Put your hands on the floor, set them wide beside your bottom rib and roll your shoulders back. Take a breath in. Exhale, press down, chest forward and up. Downward facing dog. Camel pose, come to your knees. Knees hip width distance, toes turned under. Hands like they're in back pockets, pressing down and wide so that your pelvis no longer tilts forward. It's straight up and down, and then press your knees into the ground and lift your chest to the ceiling. Get the opposite of knees and chest. Once that's got so much tension on it, then you can continue opening your chest more and more to the ceiling. If it makes sense to reach for your heels, then you'd reach for your heels. But no sinking to get to the heels. We want expansion for the heels. Breathe. Now feel how from your knees up the front of your body to your chin there's a stretch, or even from the sides of your knees up the side of your body to your armpit there's a stretch. Maximum space up through the back side of your body to the base of your skull. Next inhale, come up out of the pose, hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Stretch out. Jump through and sit down and roll onto your back. Bridge pose, first one. Feet on the floor, set it up and go. Get your shoulders set to be a firm foundation to the pose, all the way up into your bridge pose. Bring your right knee into your chest as far as it will go. Then reach your toes to the ceiling and 3 times tap the ceiling with your toes. Once you've completed that, knee to your chest, foot to the floor, other side. Knee all the way into the chest first, then toes up to the ceiling. And 3 times reach for the ceiling with your toes, knee to your chest, foot on the floor, and come out of the pose. You can move your knees from side to side. Now we're going to flow through these next few back bends. You always have the choice of bridge or wheel. Starting from the bridge pose, set up the bridge. In the bridge, set your hands for the wheel. Press down, rise up into the wheel pose. First one, see what there is to see. Now, right here in this wheel pose, presence your intention. What if I'm strong? What if I'm present? What if I'm freedom? Tuck your chin and come on down. Knees side to side, presence your intention. Let it move in your mind like a mantra. Set up the next one, press down, rise up. From this one, once you're complete with it, take 4 more. Get up in the pose, take 2 breaths, come down, take 1 breath. Back up in the pose, 2 breaths, come down, take 1 breath. You have 4 more. You know the breath pattern. Keep on moving through the poses, presencing the mantra the whole way through, phrased as a question, what if? If you've forgotten your mantra, set one from right here. No need to go backwards and remember it. Pick a mantra, pick an intention, and work with it. When you have finished the 4 more that we're doing, with 1 breath between and held for 3 breaths in the pose, when you're all finished, Supta Baddha Konasana, you'll come into that at different times. Steady breath, whatever stage of the work you're at. When you're all finished, Supta Baddha Konasana, work your way toward being complete with your last back bend. And then for everyone, Supta Baddha Konasana. Maybe take a sigh and give yourself just a moment to feel what you're feeling in your body. Dead bug pose. Hold the outer edges of your feet and rock from side to side. Then legs straight up in the air. Flex your feet so you can see your toenails. Curl up to try to touch your ankles on the outside. While you're here, before we do anything, breathe in. Exhale and let your belly just sink. Now stay there as the base. Breathe in. Every time you exhale, blow out and get a little deeper. Reach for your ankles. Just like that, pulsing. Pulse 10 times. Go for 10, 9, tiny movement, 8. Not a lot of rebound out of it. Just a continual deepening. 5, 4, really good form. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees. So we had the whole box of your core anchoring. Now let's play with it differently. 2 legs in the air. Flex your feet, lower your right leg. Curl up. Then reach your right hand for the outside of your left ankle. Notice already in your body how from your left hip to your right shoulder something's happening, and from your right hip to your left shoulder. Now every time you exhale, blow out, deepen, and curl up. And notice what's happening in your abdomen to make that happen. One side of the X is stabilizing, one side of the X is contracting and moving you. Keep on going for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees or stretch out long. I think stretching out long can feel really good. We've got the other side. Knees into your chest, legs in the air. Maybe even here you can be curled up. Lower your left leg. Ensure that your thighs are rolling to the center line, not curling out like your toes are turned out. Curl up and reach your left fingers to your right ankle. Breathe in and exhale. Left shoulder, right hip, contract. Right shoulder to left hip, contracted but long, stabilizing. Pulse like that. Feel what you can feel and discover in your own body. Keep on going for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees or stretch out long. That's the best, the stretch out long. Hug your knees and rock head to tail several times all the way up into the boat pose. Maybe it's best to start your boat pose at first with bent knees so you can really sit up tall from your sitting bones to the crown of your head. And then from there, stay tall, maybe hands behind your thighs and make the tabletop. You want to just keep sinking your thighs down. From here, maybe straighten your legs. You could flex or point. See what feels easiest to hold for you. And then finally, arms out wide like you're hugging a great big tree. Hold it. Hold it for 10. Breathe. 9, 8, 7, 6. Keep breathing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees and rock head to tail all the way through to downward facing dog. Right side pigeon pose. Let's make this an active pigeon pose where your back toes are turned under, your leg is active in the back, and you're just swinging your hips into a squared position. Set your gaze when you're ready and fold forward. Steady breathing. Resolve to be present right here in your body in the pose. Steady breathing. Hands to the floor, downward dog, switch sides. Left leg forward. From one side right into the next side. Back leg, keep it active. Intend that your left hip, left lower back opens. Then sit on your left hip and swing your right leg around for double pigeon. Customize this pose to your body today, to each side of your body as we do them. Flexed ankles, stack your shins up. If this bottom shin has to be in, heel near your hip, that's fine, but ultimately it likes to be out under your knee. Use blocks to support any knees that are dangling in the air. Shouldn't be any pinching or pain in anyone's knees. If you find that happens and you're not sure how to undo that, you could just raise your hand and I could help you. Now you may find and feel yourself sitting back, like your hips are tucked under you. See what you can do to get your hips settled behind you. If anything, your hips are tilting forward versus opening back. That's it, Damien. Good. Adding any pressure, try to do it on your thigh bone back near your hip rather than up on your knee. Yeah. So some self-assist could look like all this is set nicely. Hands could be back on your thighs near your hips, and you'd wrap out and press the bones down into the ground. That should give you a little more up space or forward space. Yeah, right there. You're just giving yourself this. I love this pose. This is the one that makes it so my knees don't end up hurting. Without this, I would definitely have had a knee surgery a long time ago. And this just opens it all up and makes it work. Switch sides, do the other side. You feel the opening in the back of your pelvis and your lower back and your hips. Just deep listening into your own body. It'll be different from one side to the other from the way it was the last time. If you can, really flex your ankles. You might enjoy putting your forearms or your palms against the soles of your feet as you fold and using some pressure from your forearms to your feet and your feet to your forearms to just give new opening into the hip pockets. That's it, Raquel. To try this differently in the future, you could always elevate your hips by folding your mat in quarters. It would be just enough elevation just to take your hips up 1/2 of an inch. It'll give you a different access in your legs. Okay, come on out of this. Let's take frog pose. We won't be in it for a really long time, so you won't need like the most comfy setup. Make sure though that you have the ability to slide. So we want knees at 90 degrees, hips and ankles at 90 degrees. If it doesn't work for the bones in your knees to be belly down, you can flip and be belly up near a wall. So I'd be shin distance away from the wall, feet on the wall. As I look at my knees and toes, they should point in the same direction, meaning that you wouldn't want your ankles turned out more than your knees. Get to wherever you'll be going, set your gaze, breathe, and presence your intention. Yeah, just right in this low, yes, that part of your pelvis. Breathe right here. Seated wide leg forward fold, that's a nice alternative here as well. Some of you are choosing that option. We're about halfway through the hold. If you're doing something that's one-sided as a variation, go to the other side. Abby, just a little more lift. Yes, right there. If you're in something that's two-sided, you haven't had to switch from side to side, and you've been in it for a few breaths, while you're still in it, take a breath in and have a sigh. Now just 2 more breaths. Bring yourself out of the pose to a finishing pose of some sort. If it was a belly down frog pose, an upward facing dog would be a nice finishing pose. And then work your way onto your mat on your back and roll your feet overhead for plow pose. Or lie flat on your back with your legs straight up in the air for waterfall. If it's waterfall, a block that's long and low under both hips could be a really nice support. Now, I will still be here teaching tomorrow morning for 7 a.m. and 10. So hopefully I'll see you guys. And then it's Morocco time, and I won't see you for a whole week. Once you get yourself into whichever pose it will be, waterfall, shoulder stand, plow pose, any variation you're choosing, get in the pose and take a sigh. Get to the place where you can really experience your legs, all of the weight that's above you, just settling and sinking down to whatever the foundation is that's on the ground. And then once you do all that, you get yourself to what is the physical edge of the pose for you. Make sure you have a little bit of time to just breathe with your intention present and be in the experience of the pose. So often, all we get enough time for is to just do the pose or start to work our way into it. Make sure you have enough time to experience the pose, to discover it as though you've never been in it before. Discover it for whatever it is today. Then begin to move toward the finishing pose. So shoulder stands, it's plow to deaf man's pose, to rolling onto your flat back. Child's pose would be for like a headstand or a handstand. Ultimately get to the place where you're on your flat back. Then hug your knees into your chest. You can take a simple twist by dropping your knees to the left and looking to the right and having a breath. A sigh could feel really good here. And then switch to the other side. Supta Baddha Konasana, just to get settled and leveled out in your bones, resting on the mat. And once you feel like your pelvis and your shoulders are the foundation, that your rib cage has been able to settle, you have a cold eye towel here in the studio. You can place that over your eyes and then stretch your legs out long and wide for Shavasana, a pose called deep rest. Let your Ujjayi breath soften into an everyday breath. You can close your eyes. And then if being still right now just still feels challenging when you don't have something that you're doing to hold you in the space, watch your breath. Experience it coming in through your nostrils, cool air, and moving out, warm air. Right here, discover what it is to just be. What if I am present? Take a deep breath in and exhale through your mouth. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, squeeze your fingers and your toes and just mark this space of the feeling of being present. And then move your head from side to side, maybe stretch your arms overhead. Ultimately, hug your knees into your chest. Roll to your side. Come sitting up. Once you're sitting tall, make sure you're comfortable and able to sit tall through your spine. Then inhale and reach your arms overhead. As you exhale, bring your hands to prayer position at the center of your chest and pause. Press your palms together. Feel what you feel. From here, set an intention for the rest of your day that you can use as a question all day long as you relate to yourself and to others. What if? 3 times we'll chant together. Take a deep breath in. Bring your thumb knuckles to your forehead. Take a moment and offer yourself an expression of gratitude that you got here. You took care of yourself and you're going to step out into the rest of the day being the best person you can be today. And I thank you for sharing this time with me. Take a deep breath in. Exhale through your mouth. Namaste. Good work. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Jane. Bye, Jane. Thanks for joining us. It was good to have you. I hope to see you guys in class tomorrow. Jane, I'm sure I'll see you, right? Yes, good. All right. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.